I'm Nancy Barstow, and this is Lee School.
Okay, awesome. So, who was your most memorable student?
Without a doubt, his name is Tyler, and I met Tyler my first year here. I came here from, I was teaching in LA Unified in California, and Tyler was a kindergartner, and he was my first exposure to a student with autism. And in California, they were not as mainstreamed as they were in Kansas, and it was like, holy cow, he was a little wild man. But I had him all the way from kindergarten all the way through 6th grade, and I learned an awful lot from Tyler.
Awesome. What did you learn from him, exactly?
Well, I learned that I had to be very, very patient, and I learned that try as hard as he might, his brain just was functioning different than brains that I was used to. And so I had to learn kind of different ways of presenting things and different ways of helping make as much as what I said verbally as visual as possible. And it brought out some creativeness in me that I didn't know I had. So, and I just learned a different kind of, I think, compassion and sense of humor from him. Yeah.
So, how did he impact your career?
That's a hard one. I think I just became a better, different teacher than before I had met Tyler. And I will include, I think somewhere down here we talk about families, but I learned so much from watching, nobody, when you're a parent, you don't think about having a child with an exceptionality. And so no one gives you a handbook, like if you have a child with this, you treat them this way. If you have a child with this, you treat them that way. These parents were very young and totally did not know, they needed a lot of help parenting. And so over the course of the years, as we built trust between them and me and the school, I watched them grow as parents, and I grew so much from watching him and his parents, and then how to interact with parents of children with more severe disabilities that I've been exposed to in the past. So,
Okay,
yeah.
interesting. So, how did you get into the field of special education?
I've always kind of had more of a passion to helping the lower end of students, but I got my teaching credential at River Falls, Wisconsin, and then all of my family's in California, so when I moved back to California, they didn't just accept my Wisconsin credential, and the counselor said, well, you can fulfill all the requirements and get a master's in special education all at the same time. And so I said, okay, I'll do that. So that's how I got special ed. And thank goodness I did, because special ed, I'll tell you, is my passion. This is my 40th year teaching, and I still love it. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's awesome. So, what was your original classroom like?
That is such a good question. I gave that one some thought. And over the years, my original classroom, my caseload was very heavy in grades 4 through 6. And it was more, it was a pull-out program, but it was more to supplement. And I would see kids for maybe a half hour a day, and they'd kind of come and go. And I did a little bit more small group than what I'm doing now. As compared to today, my caseload were way heavier on the kindergarten, 3rd grade side of things. A lot more of our referrals come that way. And I have kids, like I am some students' math teacher, and I am some students' reading teacher, because the gap has just over the years gotten increasingly large. And that's very different from when I started.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of explained a little bit. What was your service delivery model?
For some kids, it was like I would do whatever the classroom teacher was doing and then just kind of help fill in the little holes. For other students, I was fortunate enough when I first started, somebody had reading mastery, and they sent me to in-services, and that's a pretty it's an alternate curriculum. And I got trained in that, and I've been using it ever since. I really like it. And again, I think I did a lot more small group. Kids were more groupable, at least in my caseload, than I'm doing now. It seems like now kids need such individual help if you're gonna make, the gap is so big that I want to maximize just exactly where they are to try and close that gap.
So, how many kids were on your caseload originally, comparatively to now?
Oh, I would say probably between 18 and 24. When I was the only special ed teacher at Lee School, we were a small building. At one point, I think my caseload got up to 32, 34. Then they hired another teacher to help with it. That was a huge caseload.
Yeah.
Now it's closer to 18 to 22, which is
Okay.
a really nice size.
What were your major roles and responsibilities?
Back then, it was just pretty much teaching, holding IEPs, communicating with parents, conferencing with the teachers. Yeah, just that.
Okay. So, what
Oh,
policy?
and testing.
Oh, testing.
Yeah.
Okay. What policies, people, and ideas have had the biggest impact on the field of special education?
Well, of course, public law 142, you know the public law thing?
Yes.
Oh, I should have looked that one up.
Yeah.
That one for sure had a huge impact. And I think parents have had a major influence on special education when they started advocating that my child can be in a general ed setting and they can participate in no matter what their disability. And I think that's been a long time coming, and I think that's been huge, and I welcome it. It's wonderful. It used to be very, very separate.
Okay. So, what has had the biggest positive impact on special education?
Again, I would say that law and parents advocating for their children would be my two main things. And I think also probably special education students themselves. I mean, once people get to know them and not be, kind of afraid of them, they just bring there's just a whole delightful side to, any kind of a disability, and, they just say funny things, and they see humor where you don't see humor, and it's just brought a whole new dimension to education, so I'd say that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what has had the biggest negative impact on the field of special education?
Don't fire me, Dr. Cole. I would say standardized testing. It has tried to make everybody the same, especially under the old standards. Common Core, well, no, all of it is just trying so hard to make everybody achieve the same amount of information in the same amount of time. And as a special ed passionate person, it's ludicrous, and it puts undue pressure. Well, when things were tied to, like, am I going to lose my job if my kids aren't making progress kind of idea, it just put a lot of pressure on the teachers. It still puts a lot of pressures on the kids, because we are teaching them things now because Common Core now says you have to be teaching this, and developmentally I'm teaching a foreign language, and sometimes I feel I just want to forget it all. I want to teach them where they need, start where they are, and of course progress to there. I mean, no teacher is going to say, I'm going to stop teaching you. Just trying to make everybody the same has been horrible.
Yeah. Wow.
There you have it. Sorry. Okay, well, another big change has been, I didn't deal with a lot of behavior problems early years. And now, a lot of the SIT referrals, I'm also the SIT coordinator, a lot of our SIT referrals, and the kids that I teach also come with a lot of behavior issues, and that's been very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. What advice do you have for practitioners entering the field?
Yeah, I think is you just have to get through your first year. There's no other better way to say it. You have to get through it. And my advice in order to get through it would be nice to yourself. Don't try and be innovative with everything all at once, and find, you might get assigned a mentor, but I would find a person in your building that you trust not to be a gossip, that you trust will hold your confidence, that won't judge you, that you can just simply share your good moments with, share your bad moments with, and they'll just love you for getting through that first year. It's a doozy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for meeting with us, Mrs.
You're
Krista. This
welcome.
has been awesome. And our teacher wanted us to ask you one more question. Is there anybody that you can think of that we could interview next year?
That's a special ed teacher?
As a special ed teacher.
My mind just went blank, let me think here. I think Allie Bellamy, she's a relatively new teacher, I think this is her third year,
Hey, what time is this happening?
maybe. And so she would bring a whole new perspective because she's the opposite of me, she's young.
Yeah, oh.
I'm trying to think outside the building, we've had such a big turnover that,
Mhm.
I don't know, I used to know all the special ed teachers. You might want to consider even talking to one of our gifted facilitators, because that falls under the umbrella of special education,
Yeah.
but I think they would bring a very different perspective to maybe some of these, I don't know.
Okay, well, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
That was awesome.
That went fast.